Okay, that is enough of that. Oh, I need to post this real quick. There we go. All posted. It's sent out there. We're good. And I'm exiting host mode. Hello, Unknown Elemental. Welcome to the stream.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. All right, today we have a few things to cover. Again, another pretty slow news week. So we'll be covering just general opinion pieces this week, or this time around.
Yep.
Yes, so once again, we'll go over the list like always and say what we're doing. So this week, Destiny 2, planning on using the Season Pass to hide content behind paywall. Agreed way too strong with Bungie. Nintendo, a company that makes kids games but tend to slip in some rather dark things. Examples, Splatoon and Zelda. Talking about Monster Hunter, what we like about the series as a whole, Warframe Revenant, our thoughts, and I guess we can slip in the Relay reconstruction of that. And is the karmic industry imploding on itself? Yes. Yes, it is. It's like, is that an open-ended question? It's like, no, it is. All is down.
Man. Where do we start?
Well, I guess we'll start with Destiny 2's Season Pass crap. So, as everyone knows, what's it called? Like with any game out there, it always has a season pass for content. People can buy an advance. What's the word? An advance version of the game, and with it they can get new stuff for the what's the word? For the game without paying too much.
Pre-order stuff essentially.
Yeah, basically. However, this time around, they're now bringing in the annual pass. Now, you would think like, oh, this means they're your content throughout the year. But what they're releasing apparently is very minor things that other people would probably release for free. And this is Penumbra and the Black Armory as one of them, and I believe there was a second one. I just can't find the names of it. But it is very obvious that Bungie is not interested in doing the Warframe thing, where Warframe will announce something minor and release it, under the radar or something like that. No, they're doing full on, hey, we're going to release these minor things, and you're still going to have to pay for them because fuck you, give us money.
For shame.
Forsaken for shame. Yes. And honestly, at this point, it's obvious they want to kill Destiny. It's not the moneymaker they intended. So it's clear they just want to kill the franchise off just now and move on to something new.
Yeah, what they're doing is they're not only killing something they made, but they're gonna make sure that nobody sees it again. Essentially, it's like they're destroying the evidence that it was even a good game.
Exactly. In fact, honestly, now that I think about it, it's clear to them that they've lost the MMO market. Well, Warframe has effectively killed Destiny at the source, and they know it. They know they can't squeeze the competition or anybody else to keep fighting for them. They know they can't win. And so what they're just going to do now is just start gating off content again in an attempt to squeeze some money out and then say, okay, and we're going to kill it off here. And honestly, at this point, I can't be asked to care for them anymore. I really can't. You've got we've got options. I mean, if you're really if you really want to play an online game with people, you know,
There
you've got
there are many out there. There are so many out there.
yeah. I mean, take again to use an old school example, you got World of Warcraft, and that's basically exploding with new crap on the horizon as we speak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you got Warframe, which is Destiny but better. In fact, no, let me rephrase that.
Whoa. Destiny what?
Destiny is a cheap man's version of Warframe.
Ah.
Yes, it really is.
I don't really see the
Still.
resemblance, really. Oh well.
Well, that's why I say it's a cheap man's version. It's like when you go to that person who claims to have the latest movies that are still in theaters in the back of the Zen, and then when you buy the overpriced burned DVD, you find out it's just a it's just a Chinese bootleg of the movie. It's not even the original.
Yep.
Hell, even I find this funny. They in the past, Bungie said that they were going to be releasing a whole lot of new guns and new content and things of that nature. And they said, oh, all our weapons will be unique and none of them will be a reskin of the. It's all fucking reskins. There was no originality here. They created like what 10 basic gun models and have just decided to just slap a new coat of paint on it every single time. And
Wow.
said, "Oh look, here's this gun of whatever the fuck." Destiny One, stop it.
Hey, another online game you can play with your friends is Vermintide 2 because everybody is playing that today.
There you go. You see, if it was in a vacuum, Bungie would be trying to just nickel and dime everyone and say, "Well, what's your options?" There's nothing out there, so nah. But no, they can't do that, and they're trying to do that, and it's just failing. This has always been the problem with like developers or comic makers or movie makers believe that they can bully people into liking their crap because it's something unique and no one's done it before, so they basically kill off any potential support while keeping the hardcore, and then if it's something crappy but people enjoy it, they try to squeeze as much money out of the hardcores as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been no different from what Bungie's doing with Destiny 2. The only reason why people are paying attention to um, Destiny 2 right now is, the aforementioned Forsaken and the fact they're killing off a major character. A character who honestly keeps Bungie, who's kept Destiny alive, so good job. In fact, in one of the trailers they said, and I quote, "We're killing off Kai not because it's not for shock value or anything of that nature." Keep in mind, their first trailer was him getting shot in the head.
Yeah, I actually saw that trailer today.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, it's not for shock value. Fuck you, it's for shock value.
So, I saw the trailer you're talking about where he gets shot in the head, and
Mm-hmm.
I was very quick to skip the ad because the voice acting was just so terrible. Like, the writing for these voice actors was just so terrible. Like, I was just listening, I'm thinking like, oh my god, this is like a really crappy anime.
Exactly. This has been distant. This is another problem. They have always had the worst writing and dialogue and the most characters I've ever seen. Like, take for example Zavala for a second, the Blue Man Titan. In the game proper, he mentions the following: like, one day we will reclaim Earth, and only through a war machine known as Rasputin will we do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 DLCs later, when he actually appeared as, I guess, an NPC ally or something of that nature, he then says, "No, we shouldn't trust Rasputin because Rasputin is evil, and therefore we must act alike." It's like, motherfucker, what?
It's like
Not even a.
it's like
Go ahead.
like I don't mean to be rude to fanfic writers here, but like it's like a fanfic writer who writes this really good story. It's really long, but you can tell that at some point they completely spaced and forgot what they had said 3 paragraphs ago. Like,
Exactly.
this happens quite a lot. This is why most of my stories I've been writing have just stopped, because I can't remember what the hell I said like 2 sentences ago.
This is what it feels like, and I need to bring this up. Bungie claims that one of their DLCs, Warmind, took 5 years to write. If you pay attention to anything, it's clear this only took 5 months to write because the story and the character progression is shit. In fact, like I said, Zavala's actions do not make sense. They don't give us a time span of how long it's been since the end game proper and this DLC. It's just suddenly he wants to not work with Rasputin anymore because reasons. What? Again, it's clear that someone started this. What's the word? Started this the story for Warmind. It's very clear they did this, and then the next thing you know, they just gave up, stopped it, half-assed it, and they're like, "Oh, it's fine," blah 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 blah. And then when the deadline was coming up, they're like, "Oh crap, I gotta finish this shit." Okay, I'll write this, 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 and there. We're done. Again, just like you said, they wrote something and then later on they forgot they were writing and just kept running with it. This has always been their problem. It's always been this issue of writing characters. Even the Destiny comics they release, there is this humongous dissonance between characters and writing. And again, it's very crappy fanfic levels of writing to the point where I have to stop there and say, is this worth reading? Is it really? And how much of this is actually going to affect the DLC proper? Not at all? Okay, good. I don't need to read this shit anymore. That's it. That's always what's irked me about these things. I mean, again, to use Warframe as an example, whenever they do their comics, they at least introduce concepts which appear in the game. Yeah, sure, maybe not a character probably won't return into the video game proper, but at least they'll make mention of the person or the events and keeps it all connected, keeps it all tied together. Destiny just kind of runs with an idea. No, they just run with an idea, and then if that idea is like directly shoved into the game writer's face, and they're saying, hey, this might be important, or hey, whatever, they just leave it. And honestly, I can't care at this point anymore. And the problem is that there's also a cycle I need to bring to mention, and that is Disney's constant cycle of we release release 2 crappy DLCs. People start to lose interest. They start hating us. Okay, we need to pull out the stops with the 3rd DLC, and that way people will come back to us. They pull out all the stops for the middle DLC. The Taken King. People come back in droves. Then there's a large boost in players for a few months. Then Bungie releases a sort of subpar DLC, and people are like, okay, that could have been better, but whatever. And then it resets again to the next Destiny game that comes out. And honestly, like I said, this is their cycle. Their cycle of release crappy product, get hate, get attention, release second crappy product, almost have players threaten to leave and then release exceptionally good content, have the people return, release semi-good content, prepare for next cycle.
And all the while, they're demanding money.
Exactly. Again, the perfect example of this is the whole XP throttling.
Ugh.
They know for a fact that Destiny cannot survive on its own. They know that this game as a product has no survivability. So in order to make back any money they might lose here, especially through DLCs or anything else, they keep their shop a very important part of the world. It's basically a second form of economy for them, and that is, EverQuest. Their market is extraordinarily predatory to the point where they're trying so hard to siphon off things to get people to go into the shop and just buy the items rather than grinding for it. Like I said, they purposely alter the grinding for what's the word? They purposely alter the grinding, or sorry, affect the grinding sessions of people by directly affecting the outcome of things. It's like, imagine if you play Warframe and you're grinding relics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that. And then imagine that for some reason, the items that should be that have a drop rate of like like 3 out of 5 or something of that nature, suddenly starts to drop to 1 out of 5 every single time. That's what they did. That's what Bungie did to its players. And to say, well, if you want to get the items that pesky grind, well, there's the shop and it's on sale now. Go get it. It's disgusting.
I'll
It's
be
like if you've ever
honest.
watched.
When Nyx and Rhino Prime were unvaulted, Warframe almost had this happen. People kept complaining that Nyx Prime was an extremely rare drop. Like the chassis was a very extremely rare drop from the relic itself. But for some reason, it's as though it completely flipped around, and people only ever got chassis for Nyx. This item that is supposed to be like the rarest part of this grind is suddenly an overabundance, and people are struggling to get Rhino. And the only response that like the team at DE could say was, it's just bad RNG. No, that is not bad RNG. That is just total crap right there. Luckily, I think it did get fixed. I don't know if that event is even still going on now. I don't really care to check.
Exactly. But this is what I'm getting at is Bungie has been, whenever they get called out for these XP throttlings or FX throttlings or anything of that nature, they'll take one step forward, but then they'll immediately backtrack and attempt to hide anything and everything they've done secretly. They'll try to do some second shifty shit and then get called out for that as well. It's not so surprising at this point anymore. It really isn't. But then this also leads us into another issue. What's the word I'm looking for? The other issues that, like I said, Bungie knows Destiny can't survive on its own. So in order to make this a profitable venture, they actively go in and they keep attacking the fans and trying to get as much money as they can out of them. Again, a perfect example of this would be like a Twitch streamer purposely sitting there and saying, okay, I'm not going to play this particular game until about like 10 people give me $50. and then just sitting there waiting for the people to give them money. That's what it is. It's like if you've ever wanted to see what an economy run by a very powerful company that has no regard for the people, just look at what.
You're cutting
That's all I
out.
could say.
Look at what?
What?
You were cutting out.
I said if you ever want to see like an economy that is run by just a very powerful that has no. What?
All right, we're actually gonna take like a very short break. I need to update my Discord because I think that's what the problem is here. It's gonna be a very short few seconds. I'm talking to the chat here. Just a short few seconds. I'm still gonna be talking to you guys. It's just I think Discord is really freaking out right now.
All right.
Well, crap. Let's see. Not actually a 5-minute break, but it's there.
All right.
Oh, there we go. Hi.
All right. I think we're good now. Hopefully.
Yep. Go back to the intro scene, and yeah, we're still going.
All right. Good. So yeah, like I said, if you've ever want an economy run by a big business that doesn't care for its for its people, look no further to what Bungie's doing, and you'll see just how evil and twisted a world like that could be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, I think we're done.
If you want to see an
bashing
example of a parasite, go look at EA.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah, so let's see here. I think we're good from bashing Bungie for a while until the second comes out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's move right along to our second topic, Nintendo.
Oh, goody. This is one hell of a can of worms.
Nintendo, the company that what's the word?
The company that makes amazing
Nintendo,
and beautiful, cute little games for kids and families. Oh gods, this is gonna be interesting.
No, that not only that, but the company that
what?
stealing YouTubers' revenue use because fuck you. Yeah, they do that.
Oh, I know. I know. Believe it or not, like I may say that my first channel was taken down because I voiced an opinion. It's actually because of Nintendo. I posted a cute little Hamtaro on Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color or something like that on my channel to show a song that is not copyrighted, which is Beethoven, to compare it to like a noise, I guess. And Nintendo goes, "No, this is all ours. You are dead." And
exactly.
Oddly enough, the exact same time they took my channel down was like not long after I voiced an opinion. So, yay!
Yeah. Anyway, so as you can imagine, we'll just be hitting the darker aspects of what Nintendo tends to do with its games, obviously. And that is, for some bizarre reason, they add in the most disturbing things in their games. And that has always been the very creepy, either it's an enemy, a level, or something of that nature that exists in a game. And I think the one of the many things we could point to is like the Legend of Zelda, for example, and some of their enemies, like the Stalfos or the Re-Dead, the skeletons and the mummies. Those are disturbing in and of themselves because, I mean, my God, look at them. They're mummified corpses and wooden monsters. But that's not the big thing. It's that weird armless slug thing with no arm. The very gray-bodied monster with a gigantic mouth
Oh,
that disturbs.
I think I might know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember what its name is. It's like I know its name translates to like brain eater in German, but I can't remember what it's called proper.
That's not helping. What game was it from?
Ocarina of Time.
Oh! No, I'm thinking of Majora's Mask. Never mind.
I'm just trying to find its name real quick.
Oh, yeah, that thing. Oh, gods. Everybody
Dead
knows this
Hand.
creature. Everybody.
Yes, the Dead Hand. A giant, sluggy mass of, it's a bloated corpse. And something that's returned from the dead specifically to just eat and devour.
What's worse is it's got like these red markings on it that look like blood. This is horrifying.
Yeah, I believe that it's supposed to imply the skin, the red markings. I believe it's supposed to skin it's not ruptured. It's just there's a lot of blood in that starting to come to the surface, and at any moment or any slight puncture, it's gonna burst open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, this is supposed to like a rotting corpse, and whenever a corpse rots, the skin starts to decay, and you'll start seeing like sections of blood start to form, clots and things of that nature. Anyway, that's one of the more disturbing. The giant eel from Super Mario 64, and it's you can't help but agree that thing is disturbing. The unagi, apparently as it's called. And then you've got Mother, or the Earthbound series, and the enemy for the first game was basically, what was it? The final boss was like in the back. The final boss you faced had this background where it was a constantly screaming face, but it was always contorting and shifting with the background, so you could never really see very clearly. That's not even like counting Pokemon, for example.
Oh god, like the descriptions for some of the Pokemon is terrifying.
Like the Cubone, supposedly.
Cubone's is just sad.
Yeah, it's wearing the skull of a deceased Kangaskhan, or implied to be its mother. Some of the
he's not related to King Kong apparently, but yeah, it's a baby Pokemon wearing the skull of its dead mother, and it's just sad.
Yes, and you've got others like some.
Like
they have.
The sword that if hello baby spider. Like the sword that if you grab its hilt, it drains your life away. And then you have the a good portion of these are the ghosts, by the way. You have Shuppet, the little puppet toy. It's possessed because it wants to seek vengeance on the child that abandoned it. Phantom is also terrifying because it's the ghost of a dead child that died in the woods. It's a lot of these are sad and also quite terrifying.
Exactly. Like I said, they add in these horrible backstory things, but you don't see it unless you go after it. It's always hidden in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And and let's take Splatoon for a quick example. Their most recent. Obviously, they can't do much because people are now more vigilant about this sort of shit in games. But apparently, they're what is it? The story of like Splatoon and everything is very disturbing, and one of them is well, what is it? The main story of like the series as a whole. Like, apparently, this game is taking place like thousands and thousands of years after humanity's gone extinct, and it heavily implies that squids evolved to be the new dominant species on Earth. Okay, not a bad. So far not too disturbing. That is until you find what is it? One collectible which gives you more information about the game, and then you find a very disturbing sight, and that is, if I can find it. Oh, here we are. This one. We might as well just put this one on screen if you want. Shit, come on. And yeah, I have the information well of what this quote unquote sunken scroll says.
Hang on, it's not on stream yet.
Yeah, just let me know.
Where the heck?
Oh god, the stream is going crazy. I'm like, look, as you're like trying to do something.
Oh no, that's just how scenes work. So like all of our image sharing stuff is on another scene, but unfortunately I can't edit it too well because it'll automatically go there.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
There we go.
So there's English text for this, so it kind of it says a 12,000-year-old fossil of a creature.
You're cutting out.
Then
a 12,000-year-old fossil of a creature
with an odd internal skeleton. Its small skull indicates the creature was with little intelligence. This specimen appears to have been fossilized in the middle of some kind of ritual.
Ah.
Now, if you pay attention to the background, though, this was likely a kid playing a video game.
Wow. Wonder what happened. Like, if he's in the middle of playing a game, what the heck happened?
According to some sources, again, please don't quote me on this, it's implied that some nations went to war. Someone nuked the polar ice caps for some reason, causing a massive global flooding, because apparently all the ice caps thawed because of that. And a lot of people died in the beginning while others tried to hide underground and survive, to no avail. Yeah, it's kind of messed up. And again, when the more the story of Splatoon just gets more and more disturbing as you find more of these collectibles. Like it goes into, well, it's not all disturbing. Some of it will like go into tell the anatomy of how Inklings work. Like, okay, here's the cartilage. They don't have skeletons, yada yada. That's not too disturbing. They even show like how the Inklings evolved from squids. Again, not a bad thing if you ask me. But when you start discovering more of the history about the Inklings and the Octolings, the two separate species, you start getting this horrible picture. According to, again, sources, both species once lived in peace, but due to the rising sea levels, territory just kind of became more scarce and scarce. And it eventually led to a massive war between the two species over territory. And, as you can imagine, it's kind of led to a sort of uh, uneasy tension between two species ever since. I mean, obviously, the war ended well in everyone's favor. It's just still disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
There's still that unnatural, it's like whenever stop fighting with each other and then the people kind of like try to reintegrate into normal society, you still get that tension of, you still get that weird tension of people. I also should mention that apparently they base an entire festival around a fax machine, which they believe is possessed and haunted. And honestly, we all know how fax work, right?
Yep.
You send information through and it prints out the information.
But for the most part, it makes a very terrifying noise.
Well, here's the disturbing bit I want to. It's very likely that fax machine is getting information several thousand years later, because they say they recently hooked that thing up. And the creepy thing is that every time they get it, they base an entire event around hot dogs versus hamburgers or something of that nature.
Oh,
My only
yeah.
thought, my only thought about all that is, who is telling it? Like, who was sending faxes at the time about hot dogs versus hamburgers? What is this?
I think
Who would send this?
it's somebody asking the other, like, do you want to go out for lunch? Do you want to go get hot dogs or do you want to go get burgers? Something like that.
No, it's entirely possible. Again, it's not too uncommon for, and plus they have said like.
They have said what?
They can't understand any of said old writings. So it's like, oh, I see how this is.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but when you get into during the DLC, the story DLC for Splatoon 2, it gets even what's the word? More disturbing as you find out about it. And the main antagonist is like an AI that is possessed by organic material. And I don't mean like organic material like human DNA. Like this thing has been actively cutting up sea creatures and has melted them down into a primordial ooze with the end goal of experimenting with the goo to create a new species to re-inhabit the earth. Because it doesn't like the Inklings or the Octolings, because as it puts it, they fight over trivial things such as fashion and yada yada. So obviously it just hates them for that notion. And it's really fucked up. It's disturbing when you think about it, because when you play the DLC, it mentions that you're contestant 288 or something like that. So that means that there's been like well over so people who's gone before you, and you're literally walking on the bloodied corpses of your previous contestants.
Dear God.
Exactly. Like this game is fucked up. It really is when you go in to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they've been dealing. Nintendo has been very good about subtly sneaking this stuff in, and it's shocking.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And again, anything Nintendo has ever created, they've always um, snuck in something creepy or disturbing in the back. And it doesn't even need to be something hidden. It just has to be something. Sometimes they'll just make something cutesy and be like, "Oh, look at the cute thing! Look at the cute thing!" And then when you pay attention to it, you're like, "Oh, oh no!" Like another example is Kirby. Yeah, I know, cute innocent Kirby. Have you actually seen some of the bosses? Like some of the final bosses of the Kirby series?
I vaguely remember one of them. I'm not so sure.
Uh, what is it?
I don't remember. I vaguely remember one. I don't know.
No. I'm trying. This is me. I'm trying to remember them. Okay, yeah. No, every single boss of the Kirby series has been some disturbing monster, and I don't mean like in the sense of, oh, look how cute it is, or then been some really fucked up looking thing. Uh, what is it? Like one of them is this weird orb, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at first you're like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. Then it grows angelic wings, a weird halo, and an eye. Like a pure bloodshot red eye that stares at you. And the more damage you do, it will actually start to bleed. And you don't notice it at first, but as you go along, and if you look at it, you're like, oh, oh my, oh dear. Or another one, like a character called Martz, I believe. I can't remember the exact name off the top of my head, but he's an enemy that has literally has a void inside its body, and it opens that void by splitting itself in half and pulling the two pieces to either side so it can absorb people.
Oh wow.
Again, like yeah, it's fucked up to see it. Or the current Kirby game, Magalore, I believe. Yeah, it was Magalore. I remember this specifically because I remember watching Brain Scratch play the game live together, and they just kept mocking the poor guy. The joke was like Magalore was secretly the original trying to take over the all of Nintendo's franchises. And I remember this quite well because they were trying to all the collectibles of that game, the Chaos Gears, and they missed one. And then when the bad guy revealed himself, he said, "It was thanks to you and the power of your Chaos Gears." Wait, what do you mean you didn't collect all the gears? Now, God damn it, my plan is ruined. I thought you were going to collect all the gears. Okay. All right, here we go. So this is what he becomes as the final boss. Now, I want everyone on stream, like when it comes up, to pay close attention to this guy's design and tell me if you notice anything.
Oh, I forgot to delete a lot of images from last show.
Oh dear.
Let me go do that real quick. But yeah, it's on stream now.
Yeah, but so does anyone see what I see? Anyone? Anyone? So if you pay close attention to the head, and
The head and
they
what?
even go, if you pay attention to the head's design, it's clearly supposed to look like a jester's hat. Then when you go to the middle, you see the two eyes smile. But look what's inside the mouth of the smile.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's not a tongue. That's an eye.
Oh gosh.
And when you realize that this cute little thing suddenly became that, you kind of sit there and go, "What is my life? Like, what is my life right now? What is?" I'm kidding. No, and actually, The guys of Two Best Friends, one of them, Wooly, specifically has been doing a bit of like a funny uh, what's the word? Some silly Kirby lore souls, and yet during this he actually brings up horrifying information about the Kirby series as a whole. The most recent Kirby game that came out, uh, Star Allies, I believe. Yeah, Star Allies introduces the concept of some cult that worships pure darkness. Like as a whole, it's disturbing, evil, dark presence energy. And the fucked up thing about it is their dark master is something called Void Termina,
Hmm.
and it's well for some reason its head is in the shape of a heart, but I see an owl. And this creature is supposedly the thing that brought the to its knees not too long ago. That's not the weird thing. You knock off the head, apparently because the mask itself isn't attached to anything, and then you fly into its body through the opening of the neck. What Void Termina really is inside of all that is this amalgamous blob of energy. And you're wondering, it's like, what the fuck is this? It's creepy. This blob of energy. Someone gets a Kirby smile with the eye, and then it will violently contort, reform itself into some new creature, like a weapon or a ball of spice or just a giant eye with no lid. It will just stare. And the more I see this, the more I wonder, it's like, well, how is this guy?
How is this what?
How does this get past the ESRB?
I don't know. I really don't know.
It's it's so weird. In fact,
The what?
the leader of the cult has a very doopy face, right? Silly, it doesn't look too menacing. But it's the shit he says that it's the shit he says to the character. Um, what's the word? The steps to speak with them. That is really disturbing. Like they purposely make it go so freaking fast that no one can read it, specifically so nobody will realize what he's saying. But of course, being the internet, people kind of slowed it down, and you can actually hear what he's saying. Like, for example, one of the words he says is, "Those who called us mad, are you listening? You left us at the edge of the galaxy to be forgotten, then went along with along your merry way, probably living somewhere pretty and peaceful. But know this, it's in fact even the character goes crazy. Like his movements become erratic as he's disturbing, high pitched screaming. It's really fucking weird. And they even added like journal entries of the generals you fight. And as you read them, they say something like along the lines of like, "Oh, Highness." By the way, the guy's name is Highness for some reason. Don't ask me why. He says they say like he isn't acting like his normal self. He's become very forgetful. He's actively attacked us for some reason. We don't know what's wrong with him.
Hmm.
It's really freaking messed up. And the only thought I can like, I'm wondering all this time,
Wondering all this
what
time what?
is why is Nintendo pushing for all this? What is the end goal? I mean, why Kirby of all things?
Hmm.
It's it's too weird. It's really too weird.
Yeah.
It's just no. You know that silly little video, the African person coming to like a place that snows, looking up at the sky as it's snowing, and going, no, no, just going back inside. Yeah. Yeah, but no. Actually, wait, what's this? Yeah, here we are. Like, when you fight the guy and he goes crazy to the point of just throwing off his hood and cowl, he says, and I quote, his once carefully concealed face now exposed, Highness is on the rampage, tossing the three unconscious sisters around like rag. It's clear he's lost his grip on reality. It's up to the Star Allies to bring an end to this nightmare and save everything. Again, this guy is completely unhinged. He's like one neck twist away from, and I'm not joking, his head actually rotates like a fucking owl. Yeah, but I'm gonna stop there because this has been going on long enough.
We're actually not even at the hour mark.
Jesus.
But unfortunately, I do really want to take a break because I want to get up real quick.
All right, well, we've got 3 more topics before calling it a day, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Just
we'll
remember
take a break and,
Oh.
What?
What was that? I just got an alert. Did somebody subscribe? I had to go check. I forgot I need to put the browser thing on the other scenes.
That's all right.
But don't forget to drop out of the call when we go on break.
Yeah.
Because you're cutting out really bad today. What's the weather like over there, by the way?
It's actually clear for once.
Oh wow. Well, it's not my side either. It is nice and clear.
It could just be the microphone.
Oh, Miss B is now following us on Twitch. Hello, Miss B. Welcome to the stream.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. It says 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Bleh. It says 5 minutes. That's not true.
Yes, it never is.
But
we really gotta update that thing. We really do.
Yeah, I was actually getting myself set up to draw it, but then you started cutting out like crazy, so I can't focus on that.
All right. Actually, we'll continue this disturbing moment.
Yeah.
Just gonna, take a break. So we'll be back in a few.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys.
Mm-hmm. So now it's just me and you, audience. I know it says 5 minutes. That's not true. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the intro/outro music on repeat. This is a time for you guys to get up, get something to eat, stretch, get something to drink. Make sure you're still connected to your hive mind, whatever it is. We are all just very tired over here. And I can hear there's stuff going on above my head because I'm in a basement right now. So yeah, if you don't like the music, that's fine. Just mute, step away, take off your headphones, just step away from the computer for a bit, because that's what we're going to do, because we need to eat and drink too. We'll see you in a bit. Okay, that is enough of that. Just waiting on Rev to come back. It is so weird. It is so very weird. I don't know why that showed up in the search. That is so weird.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll delete it.
Alright. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm for everyone to be honest, we're talking about updating the image on screen to a new image. I don't know if I'm going with this Gelgoog or if I'm just going to use like a marine version. Like there are many, and I don't know which one suits me the best.
Well, we have somewhat good news. During the break,
right.
OBS crapped itself, but otherwise we're fine. Nothing important was lost. For now. Yeah, we'll talk about your new look in the background, like just typing it up and stuff like that. I can close this.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I was just talking more for myself, just as usual.
Gosh, what is that quote? Is it actually like 99% burrito?
Yes.
My mom let me finish her giant burrito, and I have it right here.
99% burrito. I love Homie voice. He's so stupid, but fun.
I love his new region chat. Anywho, next topic.
Yeah, so back to the disturb. Oh, I thought we were going to continue with the disturbing, but whatever.
Well,
all right. I'm sorry. So yes, going back to this to the disturbingness that is Nintendo. I don't get it. Why does Nintendo like to put in disturbing things in their games?
I'm really sure.
I mean, is this their attempt to like, I don't know, spook their audience into being better people? Is this subliminal messaging?
I think it's subliminal. I don't know. I mean, didn't like Banjo-Kazooie have something similar? And they're not even from Nintendo.
The only thing I can think about from Banjo-Kazooie being disturbing is the excuse me, is the giant shark they have.
Giant shark.
But that's the only thing.
Giant what?
It was a giant mechanical shark. It was like the main bad guys. Oh god, what's the word? It was the main bad guys. Garbage disposal.
Oh, that. I vaguely remember that. Man, another thing I found disturbing. I think it was like Banjo-Tooie. It's when you're in the water and you're fighting an anglerfish. Just like the entire underwater portion of that game was terrifying because it's so dark and you can't see very well. But you know you're surrounded.
It's like, I can't see shit.
You hear me? Come the desert. We ain't found shit.
Yeah, but like I said, it's this weird fixation. Like I get it. Not every game. No, sorry. I get it. Sometimes in games you deal with dark things all the time. Yeah, I understand that. It's just Nintendo's fascination with taking the dark aspect and making it something truly horrifying is a bit like, what is your end game here, people? Why are you doing this? Fucking stop.
This burrito is not made very well.
No.
Curse like you, tumbleweeds. Just... Carry on.
Yes. Majora's Mask, for example, that is a much worse what's the word? A much worse. Oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's more disturbing when you really look at Majora's Mask.
Oh,
And
the fact that it was
it's,
made to be scary.
yeah, but I mean, like more so than usual. Like if you really pay attention to everything about the game, it is really just what?
Yeah.
In fact, here's the creepy thing. Like if you pay attention, they released a manga for Majora's Mask specifically. And in this manga, it goes. It basically explains what Majora is, and in it, it's revealed that there was nothing. In the beginning, there was literally nothing. No time, no space, no nothing of that nature. And there existed a dragon, and its hide was so valuable, people wanted to kill it as a source of armor, but no one could because it was too hard to penetrate. So instead, a hero wearing a very familiar green tunic comes before the dragon and he says, he doesn't attack it right away. He just kind of speaks with the dragon, known as Majora. Majora then, basically says, because he's eaten and killed so many people, their essence has become part of him. And he has one desire. He wants to die because there is nothing, you know? What is the point of living when you have nothing to do and nothing to live for? So the hero agrees and decides to kill him through dance. So he plays music for 3 days straight, and Majora dances himself to death. He dances to the point of exhaustion. Once he dies, the hero carves the creature up into an armor. And then through parts of that armor, he creates a mask, which is Majora's face. It's heavily implied the mask and the soul never truly perished. And what we're seeing now is just the return of that, excuse me, is a return of that mask's essence, angry and wanting to truly end. But it just can't. So he wants to destroy everything and just take himself with it.
The entire time Nakak is on the screen with the mask.
Nakak, why?
We must bring back the fallen one. No, we don't.
No, Nakak, but that mask, it's like you start seeing her or showing a bunch of the new masks she's got. It's like, oh, look, Dano, all these masks, etc., etc. And then immediately she brings out that mask in particular, and your immediate reaction is, no, put it back.
No, it's like she's like, I am selling masks, and like in the background you slowly see a guy rising up, smiling.
The very disturbing smile, just like.
Or like when you come out and offer your form, he goes, "You have met a very terrible fate, haven't you?" Nope, 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 nope.
You know what? Warframe Majora's Mask crossover. Let's make it a thing.
Technically, they
Why not?
have. Like when you really think about it, they have.
How so?
Well, the latest update is you're using a mask, and you're able to, and like with this mask, you're able to see what's going on.
I am sure the majority. I can see that.
No.
All right. Let's see. But no, like I said, the game itself is just. It isn't just Majora itself that's disturbing. It's everyone else in the game too.
Mm-hmm.
All the people you meet, they're all sad and close to death's door. They know they're gonna die, and they're like, "Fuck it, I accept my fate." Or if not even if it isn't even them, basically admitting the demise is coming, it's the other people too. Like everyone else has been affected by twisted curses, or it's just a whole.
We have a red square.
There, okay, I can hear you now.
Yep. Sorry, we had a red square moment. That's all. But
yeah,
the OBS did not crash.
That's good. That's good.
I was going to say, does this include the guy in the toilet? Quite literally in the toilet.
I'm not sure what happened. Like, again, I've seen all the NPCs around and how they react when the moon's just about to crash in. Like, people are freaking the fuck out everywhere. Even what was it? A samurai character who's been brave all up until this moment is in his house. You can actually go into his house, by the way.
Is he the one who's like cowering and saying, "I don't want to die"?
Yes.
Because I've seen the start of like SGB playing it. I know.
Yeah, it is just no. Whole lot of no. And what people are doing to try and prevent it too, and all the masks you acquire, it's just disturbing. In fact, most of the transformation masks you get in that game, right? The Goron, the Zoro, Zora, all these masks you get, and you acquire them by stealing people's souls effectively. It's not right.
Mm-hmm.
It really isn't. When you really no, you know what I really believe is the truly fucked up bit. It's specifically with the Zoras, and that bit with uh the Zora you meet, the one that's beached on the beach itself. You don't bother to help the guy go back into the water. No. You wait for him to die. You steal his soul in mask form, and then you go meet his girlfriend as him, and say, "Oh no, I'm fine, and help hatch the babies they had." It's why are you doing this? Why can't you let her down gently?
What the fuck?
People, come on. Link is not the hero in all of this. He's the fucked up villain. And then some. Yes.
The Gerudo. I think that's it. The rock guys. I never remember.
Yes.
Like the part with the little baby and his dad, that was also just as terrible.
Yes, it's just not no Gordon, I believe.
Look,
Goron.
yeah, Goron.
Yeah, it's really disturbing. Like, what was it? It's something to do with like his father. He passed away, obviously. I don't know if it was because he fell off the mountain or died from the cold.
His dad froze to death.
That was it. Still messed up though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god. Honestly, when you think about it this way, another thought that kind of comes to mind is, what happens, like once you finish the game, right? Like actually stop the moons from crashing and what's the other word? Um, do everything you can to make everyone's lives better and stop the moons from crashing. Like, does this? I never understood the ending. Is this like a giant rewind back to the moment where all this happened, or does it kind of pick up at the end of the third day? I think it's after the end of the third day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so never mind. Ignore what I'm saying. I had a moment. I forgot what was happening. Again, I've kind of put blockers on Majora's Mask in the back of my head, and for good reason. It's like, no, what's this? Majora's Mask? Never heard of it. Are you sure you played it? Nope. Did you play it in '94? Nope. Doesn't exist. Yeah, but anyway. So yeah, again, Zelda has always been the disturbing one out of the group. And I mean, like, they go full on disturbing for Zelda whenever they get the chance.
Wow.
It's just so much wrong. All right. Is there any other disturbing like Nintendo game we want to or talk about?
Does Conker's Bad Fur Day count?
That's rare, and it was released on the 64, but it's not a Nintendo property.
Yeah, good point. There's really not much to go on. Nope, there's nothing else.
All right, since we've basically covered everything, I guess we're fine now.
Mm-hmm.
All right then, moving right along. I guess we could go into another long-winded tangent.
Maybe.
Just maybe. Yeah. So moving on to Monster Hunter.
Yay. I've only recently gotten curious about this game.
I've heard of Monster Hunter on and off growing up, and every time it was through a family friend called. It was through a family friend and his sons, and I remember, we would come over to their house every so often. We didn't go there very often because it was very very far away, but when we did, it was always kind of an interesting little treat. And they showed me a bit of Monster Hunter, and I was very curious about it at the time. Because I remember they showed me, I think it was like on the PSP or something. And they showed me it, and I was like, oh, what's this? And they showed me like some of the monsters fought, like the more weird and curious ones out there. I was kind of interested, but I never remembered the name. So it just kind of left my mind for a few years. Then I rediscovered Monster Hunter, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is the game my friend was talking about. But I never got into it. I mean, I liked the concept, but I was overwhelmed by the idea that there is a lot of backstory to this game, and I'm probably never going to get into this series until I read everything I can. And after that, it's just kind of like, it's never gonna happen.
I like the design of the creatures. Yeah, there's some that look like dinosaurs, but for the most part, each of the creatures looks so unique and new.
Yes, it's a mixture of implausible with realism. I think when I jumped back into Monster Hunter was actually before World was announced or even released. It was actually through Metal Gear, ironically enough. Peace Walker had a Metal Gear, what's it called? A Monster Hunter side thing for the PSP. And actually, let me look it up real quick. Yeah, here we go. Monster Hunter, and it was pretty interesting. The idea was basically that one of the NPCs talked to boss and kind of said, "Did you know that there is an island not too far from Costa Rica where apparently there are monsters and cats come to claim the greatest warriors so they can fight them?" And of course, boss doesn't believe it because cats. But it happens. A cat actually comes up to shore, and they ask him to, hey, do you want to come to this island and hunt some monsters? And of course, boss is like, no, I've got a mission to do, maybe later. And you'll actually get the option to do it when the game is over. And it's basically just Monster Hunter with guns, and you can actually move around. But what I think I adored was they actually went through the trouble, and I'm not joking here, of creating a monster specifically for the game. And they actually created an organic version of Metal Gear Rex.
Wow.
And the thing, in fact, I'm going to put it on screen too. It looks like it fits into Monster Hunter perfectly.
Holy cow, it does. I can hear myself.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I hear yourself now?
No. Okay, we're good.
Okay. I actually love the Monster Rex. I do. Because it just looks like this thing, it fits in so perfectly.
And
I
if
mean,
not, it
yeah, the
also
weird.
fits in Fallout.
Yeah, but here's the crazy thing: its tail on the shoulder. Yeah, that's the only weird thing I can think of. But everything else, it's fine. This thing looks like it could just wander in to any Monster Hunter game and just kind of settle right in.
Yeah.
In fact, fighting Devil Joes, maybe actually killing them.
Doubt it.
Yeah, one can dream.
Yeah. Really, really dream on that one.
Mhm. But anyway, it's amazing. So when I found out about this, finally get invested into Monster Hunter, and I bothered to learn a bit of the history. And what I discovered was just very shocking. Like you remember when you talked about Godzilla Monster Planet
Yep.
and that whole how Godzilla humiliated humanity?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the theme Monster Hunter has when it talks about like its history. Like it talks about like the ancient civilization that came before and something about like an ancient dragon war that happened between humans and great dragons. It's not clear who came out on top, but it's heavily implied that the dragons did, but they didn't wipe out humanity for some reason. Again, it could have been either a mutual ending for both civilizations, or the dragons were just so badly beaten that they couldn't just continue and waited in the shadows. And that's kind of what I like about the game, because you can actually um, basically decide, you know what, fuck these ancient dragons, I'm going to take them down. And you get the chance to do it. You'll be a
Yeah.
legend for it, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, these dragons deserve it because they are all assholes.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, what's creepy is that one of them specifically, and I don't remember his name right off the top of my head. I just know he's a very powerful ancient. But according to the information about him, it said that he hated humans because they killed and grafted uh, dragon hide onto their armor. And this disgusted him so much to the point where he did the same to people, where he would just capture a whole bunch of them and melt them down into his scales. And it's heavily implied that some of them were still alive when he merged them onto his body.
Ew.
Yeah, and he doesn't care. His whole point of this was, oh yes, I'll be just as horrible as you guys are. And then, of course, if it were me and meeting him, I would have probably said, well, you make a wonderful human, then, don't you? You know, insulting kind of manner. Because fuck him.
Yeah, continuing with
But
our topic of how disturbing these games are.
yeah. It continues.
Hey.
Nah. Yeah, it's like, you see, we planned this shit in advance. So with great sarcasm. But no, like I said, it's, you get the option in one of the games to finally kill this giant dragon, and it's so satisfying. It's like saying ancient, powerful, bloodthirsty dragon killed by very, very tiny hunter.
Oh god, so what is the quote? What was the quote? Immense power of the cosmos. Itty bitty living space.
Exactly.
This is something along that.
No, tremendous cosmic powers. Itty bitty living space. Yeah, man, that must suck. But anyway, eventually, when Monster Hunter World was coming out, I kind of looked at it glancingly. Every so often, I was like, "Oh man, this looks so amazing," and I kind of want to get it, but I've got other shit to do at the moment, and I still need to learn about this world.
Mm-hmm.
But then finally, one of my friends brought their PS4 and the game with them, and they said, "Here, try it." So I was like, "Okay," and I had fun. it feels really good to play. My only issue is that with the game, when you're fighting a monster with like a bladed weapon, like a sword or whatever, you can't move. If you're attacking, you're locked into that position of where you're attacking and where you're standing. But the monsters can still move, which is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously when I discovered that, like, irked in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to figure out a way how to fight these monsters effectively. Nope, it turns out you just need a what's it called? A pistol weapon, and you're good. Because apparently, if you have a gun, you can move around and shoot. Challenge and planning completely thrown out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't get too far, honestly. I just played a bit um, up until I finally got to the desert. And I can safely say I had fun. Monster Hunter World is a game I think I'll get. However, that said, I have met my two greatest enemies in the entire series, in that entire game thus far. And that is the Kestodon and the Pukey. The Kestodon,
Pookie, not Pukey.
whatever. The Kestodon specifically because they are that stun lock you. I declare mass war and extinction on all Kestodons. I will go out of my way to build a gun specifically that kills Kestodons. Like, you could shoot it at your friend and the bullet will still find its way to the Kestodons. And the Pookie was just... I wasn't annoyed by the creature itself. I kind of figured out how to avoid it when I fought it. Avoid the attacks. I was more annoyed by the fact that this fucker would not stop running around. Like, we mocked the dodo for being an incredibly stupid monster. But at least that thing stood still long enough for me to kill it. The Pookie is just running around all over the place and purposely brought me towards an Anjanath three times and just ran away, thinking I would fight the fucking thing. It's like, no, I'm not going to fight that. I'm going to go after you, specifically.
Mm.
It's like, how do you like that?
How do you like me now, motherfucker? Okay, I can hear myself again.
Okay, I don't know what's causing that.
Mm.
I even went to its fucking nest just to fight the damn thing, and I fell out like twice. Because that thing was not built to last.
I'm saddened that it's not gonna happen anymore, but I used to watch Lycan play Monster Hunter, and I really enjoyed it. And
yes.
I had to say, the most frustrating mission that I saw was stealing the herbivore eggs. Because you had that stupid dodo right there getting in your way. But all the enemies wanted to kill you.
It's like, stop going after me, go after the fucking dodo. He's there, go get him.
The dodo even stole an egg before he even grabbed one, and they didn't care. And they were like 5 feet away from it, and they didn't care.
Fucking goddamn, go for the dodo! The dodo!
I am sad that I won't. He can't stream Monster Hunter anymore. It's just not working.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I love the HD look of Monster Hunter World. It is it feels alive. I know people say, oh, graphics don't make a game, and I kind of agree with them, but in this case, you're all fucking wrong. It's amazing.
Like, Monster Hunter World does what I would love for a game. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the park building that is Jurassic Park, and I love the well, actually no, I don't really care for the combat in Shadow of the Colossus, and I love like the world exploring of The Last Guardian, but you're still confined. You're still restrained to do what the game wants you to do. But in like Monster Hunter World, there's these beautiful HD creatures, these creatures you've never seen before roaming around, and you get to run alongside them. And it's your choice if you want to attack these things and get into a fight or not.
Yes, even the herbivores will actually
Well, actually, what?
close to them. Will ignore you if you get close to them.
Yeah.
I've done this a few times. They just don't care.
Well, yeah, they got bigger things to worry about. Except for that fucking dodo.
Yeah, the dodo is stupid. I would be surprised that if in the next few years in universe it just suddenly just goes extinct. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Fuck me, it's stupid.
Like,
But
as interesting as the games are, and like I love the games, it's still probably not something I would play. Because like I understand why you're hunting these creatures. Like I understand. I got it. I know why. I just don't think I'd be able to bring myself to kill a giant creature.
Yeah, I can see why, but honestly, to me, I was kind of in the same boat at first, but then when I found out that the guilds, the hunters guilds, and all that things have very strict codes when it comes to hunting monsters, that it kind of erased that kind of feeling for me, and that was mostly because they understand that overhunting these creatures will lead to extinction. I'm pretty sure that was like a hard lesson learned, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So they put heavy emphasis on hunting specific species
And a specific number of species too.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Depending on the interval, and that was for me with the Kestodons. It was because this herd had gotten too large and had gotten to the point where they were attacking the main village and starting to become a major nuisance. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
I was brought in specifically just to kill only 10 of them, and from no, sorry, yeah, 10, 5 of each gender, specifically to help cool the numbers down just enough to keep them from popping up again.
Like this actually kind of does tie into like real life. Specifically, like the biggest example that's kind of global now is Yellowstone. With Yellowstone, like people started mass murdering the wolves there, thinking that it'll actually help the environment if they get rid of the wolves because they're tearing at their flocks. Turns out that was the worst thing they could have ever done. Herbivores multiplied by the thousands, environment was destroyed, and Yellowstone actually started to die. They reintroduced wolves like a couple of years ago, I think. Not that long ago. The wolves' numbers have increased, and Yellowstone has actually recovered. It's this huge chain reaction, and Yellowstone is like back to this beautiful park.
Yes. And again, Monster Hunter kind of follows that same issue. They understand the ecology of every region is incredibly difficult. It's why you will see more hunters hunting specific animals down, where others will, depending on the hunter, obviously, will specialize in very specific creatures. If it's an area with a lot of water, they'll fish some of the more herbivorous monsters. But if there's a monster that is suffering from some disease, like rabies, for example, then there'll be a heavy bounty to hunt this creature down. Not because of some pride or hunter's achievement. No, it's because this thing has become a threat to the environment as a whole. And it's a danger to itself, so it has to be put down.
This is why Devil Joe is has gotten quite the name.
Yes, and actually that leads me into what they've actually gone out of their way to explain that Devil Joe, aka Death Pickles,
spicy pickles.
Yes, Rage Pickle, are so freaking dangerous because they are this incredibly invasive species. Wherever they go, extinction is not too far to follow. And it's believed that at some point in history, the Devil Joe was necessary, like calling the numbers of specific creatures. That's what it was believed it did. But since that species or animal has long since been dealt with thanks to humans, probably, the Devil Joes have now started to spread out everywhere and has led to the mass extinction of certain animals, destructions of ecology. It's just been a nuisance.
Like
And
to put a bit more of like a biological thing here. Devil Joes have such a high metabolism, such a high amount of energy that they burn constantly. They have to continue moving and eat everything that moves. It doesn't matter what it is. It can even be one of its own kin. Like these things are also cannibalistic. They will eat everything. And they're also kind of like I guess like in some way they're a bit of a yeah they're a bit like a call out to the cane toad in Australia. And like that's a bit of a weird thing to say, but with the cane toad, they were brought in to deal with beetles that were eating crops. They didn't eat the beetles, they ate everything else and mass multiplied. And now animals in Australia, native to Australia, are on the verge of extinction because these toads are so deadly.
And they're venomous.
Yeah, they're very poisonous. Except like I believe ravens and crows have figured out how to deal with them. But to put emphasis on this, cane toads in Australia are a kill on sight. Like no mercy is given to these toads because they're not from this area, and they are destroying the environment. They need to go.
Exactly. In fact, for an instance, there, to go back to Monster Hunter for a moment, there is a serious problem currently in the New World, and that is, while the Devil Joe has been forced out of certain habitats due to food being difficult to procure, even for it, they've migrated to the Rotten Vale, where food is in such an abundance that they could easily start nesting. And this has become a very serious problem. They're forcing out the Odo dragons out of the Rotten Vale and forcing them onto the Coral Plains, which is directly above the Rotten Vale. And this has led to multiple attacks, a sudden shift in the food chain. And again, to put emphasis on this, the Odo dragons are not some pushover creature either. These are super aggressive, high metabolism creatures as well, and yet they're being forced out by a much more an invasive critter.
Mm-hmm.
And the honest question is, in fact, I've even seen fully grown otter dragons being completely decimated by a single Devil Joe without even trying. Honestly, like I said, there's been a concerted effort to get the Devil Joes out of the Rotten Vale. Just like with cane toads, they're completely kill on sight, and urgently so. Again, if these things keep forcing the Auto Dragons out, we could see a very heavy shift in ecology to the point where the coral barriers above might become a new form of killing ground. At least for them, I should say. Which is terrible because I don't want to lose the fluff-necked bats.
Oh, I love those guys. The ones that inflate.
Yes.
There was another one that showed up in like the coral area. It was like a white underbelly with like a bluish black top side. It had like fingers on its wings. For its wings, sorry. Kind of like what they have in Avatar.
I'm looking at it.
I forgot the name, but it was so pretty. It was like while I was watching Lycan play the game, I went, I kept going, I want that as a pet. I want that as a pet. I want that one and that one. And then he came to like the pangolins from hell and went, okay, yeah, no, I don't want that.
Yes. Yeah, the Coral Highlands is something of an by my own standards of Monster Hunter. It's a beautiful place, but it's also extremely dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I when I see it, I kind of question what came here before all these creatures moved in. Like, what was this place like when it was fully submerged?
Lagiacrus.
Maybe, or various species that spawned off of it, probably. Actually, that's another thing I need to mention. The Anjanaths of the New World, they're brute wyverns. You know, a brute wyvern usually is defined as a creature, uh, basically any animal with a T-Rex body.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what a brute wyvern is. But here's the crazy thing: they have wings. Well, technically not wings; it's more of a frill, I suppose, or a sail on their hips. And this is what's kind of led me to want to speculate this. What if the New World is actually a remnant of a very early prehistoric era in this world's history? And what we're seeing isn't really new creatures, but very, very old ones we've never seen before till now. And if the Anjanath is anything to go off on, then maybe we're looking at the ancestor of the Devil Joe and so on and so forth. Like what came between the true brute wyverns and the wyverns we see now. Wyverns,
Got a little
wyverns.
Samwise Gamgee there.
I always flip flop whenever it comes to the pronunciation. I always have, and always will. Because to me, it's all they're all chickens. They're all flying chickens to me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's one other thing I want to bring up is Monster Hunter also has this weird dissonance when it comes to humanoid species. And by that I mean they never really give a default look to any of the supposed species that are out there. You know, they bring up one of them is called Wyverians, for example. And from what I can tell, they're supposed to be humans who take on aspects or partial aspects, I should say, of wyverns. However, this is manifested in the following: very big noses and pointed ears. In certain ones, I suppose. Again, their form has always been very slender, almost. Uh, it almost looks like they could take off at any moment, but they lack wings in general. And the big nose is obviously like the remnants of what used to be a beak, I'm guessing.
Like, you're saying all this, and I'm starting to think of like a Rathalos or Rathian.
Some of them claim that they're descendants of that species, and to that I say, you're descendant of nothing. You're just people with very long noses because fuck it.
Actually, I can see a resemblance.
It's very strange. And
Well,
they've
Rathalos has pointed ears, and he has quite the nose.
Quite the schnoz. Sorry. Yeah, but like I said, they're from what I can tell, Wyverians usually default to a pointed nose and pointed ears. That seems to be like the base look of the Wyverian species as a whole, at least from what I can guess. There are others, like very, very small ones, almost midget like, that have three-toed feet, almost, again, bird-like claws. And again, this is what I'm getting at. They've never really shown us what if there's like a difference between the Wyverian people or just, you know, things of that nature. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, how we have humans And we have different races like Caucasian, Black, Asian, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
But yet there's always a quote unquote base version. What's up? Sorry, I just noticed a
Yeah,
message.
I need to go quick.
All right. I guess this is our second breakup.
I don't know what's going on. I really don't.
It's all right. So again, we'll be back in actually 5 minutes this time around. Like actually 5 minutes, or like what, 10?
I don't want to take too long.
All right, so 10 then.
Yeah, I guess something's going on my end. It's not.
All right. All right, then we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Yep.
So we'll see you there.
Just between me and the audience here, my stomach is acting up. I'm actually starting to get into a cold sweat. I will be right back. We will be right back. I will try and go as fast as I can. Something's wrong on my end. That's all. Yeah, I'll play the intro and outro music on repeat again. If you don't like it, just tab away. It's just I really need to get up. Nope, just leave it on this. No. Okay. Well, I'm back. It's gonna take a bit for Rev, I guess. Sorry about that. Stomach issues, that's all.
That is good.
And we're back. Bang. And we're gone.
Anyway, so
You were
what
talking
was I
about
saying?
uh the different
Right,
races, like the really
that's it.
short
Yes.
guys, yeah.
Like I was saying, with at least with humans in the real world, at least we have quote unquote base races.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know what we know what like Asian people or black people or any type of people will look like. There's always that defining characteristics that we always detect and find. It's just that with the Bivarians, you don't see that. Again, we might have a possible uh, race base, baseline for some of them. The pointed ears and the long nose, but that's about it. We don't see. There's always these different ones. And you're kind of sitting there like, the hell, like what is this? Like the very short ones, and you're just kind of wondering. It's like, are these actually like very, very old Wyverians, or is this a side species? Or I don't know.
I
Then you got
actually
like
thought they were
weird.
gnomes.
Okay, that's just in. There are gnomes in Monster Hunter.
I didn't know what they were.
It's like we use them as uh, as bait for birds. Yeah, that's right. I said it. No, there's like two other ones where it's like the sea people, which again I've seen like the designs, like concept art and things have been like on and off for the species, but it doesn't look like they ever like came up with a default look for that. From what I can tell, they're just a bunch of like people who live out on the sea and are very, very heavily tanned, and that's about it. Again,
Is it like that? Uh, there's a people that has lived on the sea for so long they actually get sick when they're on land. Is that
it could be something like.
yeah?
Again, we've never really seen like there's never been an official like show as to what these people look like. But at most, some have speculated that they might have webbed digits, and their skin is like the back is a very dark shade of brown, but the underside is a very light shade of brown, like a fish's underside.
Mm-hmm.
But that's as far as we've speculated, or as far as like information goes. Other than that, we haven't seen enough of them out there uh, to say definitively, yeah, they are a people, or they are a race. We what's the word? This is a race we've met and seen. Again, it's just been it's varied. It's mostly it seems to be now that they're more of a tanned human species. Again, with like fish-like hairstyles or clothing, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously they do have a dwarf-ish species in Monster Hunter called Trovarians. Trovarian. And they're the forgers, the smiths, the people responsible for building every weapon and every gear every hunter ever uses. And again, they've been cited as being very short and stocky, almost very fat dwarven people. However, unlike the WoW dwarves, that have like the very dark molten skin
Mm-hmm.
because of how long they've lived in like volcanoes and that kind of thing. They actually wear protective. They have to wear protective layers of clothing as they forge, which is interesting. Again, it seems that they're mostly just very stocky, very fat people or humanoids, I should say, with incredibly elaborate mustaches. I'm not joking. Apparently, they
Yeah.
tie up tie up their mustaches with a lot of string to keep them looking like a pair of boar's tusks.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, Monster Hunter seems to have an issue when it comes to showing different species, but again, they heavily imply that they're out. It's very odd. It's very odd.
Like with creatures, they do it very well. But with
Yeah, they go nuts. The only other intelligent species that lives with the hunters is just the cats.
the palicos, I love those guys so much.
Actually, funnily enough, when I played Monster Hunter World, I went in expecting to hate my cat. I honestly did. I even named him Paul because I hate the name Paul. And yet, he was actually my lifesaver in more than one instance. So immediately I grew to love Paul. He quickly became a good friend and someone I actively was looking to get better gear and armor for him.
Can't say
That's
the
saying
same
something.
for Warframe.
No, the pets there are useless as hell.
Yeah.
They're still dumb as hell.
I am going to unlock this locker for Master. Oh, there we go. I have sunk into the ground. I'll be with you in 5 minutes.
Yes, DE, please fix the damn animals. Stop having them sink into the floor.
I would still like them to add, to fix the mechanic where they start to die after a while, and you have to keep refreshing their DNA. That's so stupid.
Yeah,
Like I
it's
understand
very.
it, but it's so stupid.
Yeah, I don't like it either. But yeah, like I said, I go in my cat. Then I find out he's my most loyal and trusted ally.
I think it's mostly because you don't have to rush and save them from being nearly killed every time.
No, they have good AI to the point where they'll avoid. In fact, no joke. Whenever I was running low on health, I went to heal myself only to get splashed with this chunk of suddenly this green essence, and I'm suddenly healed all the way up. I was wondering that, and I found out that Paul was actually grabbing healing bugs and throwing them at me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw that, I was like, Paul, yes, thank you. You're a friend. I trust you. I kind of wish the Palicos had more to do in the game, like in the story, but I'm happy all the same.
Again, going back to like in streams of Monster Hunter World, the only thing that I would ever talk about is I want to know the status of those 3 cats you dropped into the jungle. I want to know if they're okay. Like, even if they're not your cat, you still want to know if these cats are okay. Like, you actually feel for these guys. Even the chef, especially the chef. Oh my god. Like, the chef is a giant palico, and all that food that he makes.
Well, here's the thing I want to bring up is that I think they are all right because they go into detail explaining that palicos are at what's the word? They're at home when it comes to foraging and surviving in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a safe bet to assume that they're out there just basically doing what they do and they're probably fine. As for the chef himself, I actually enjoyed his cooking. As someone who cooks as well on a regular, seeing a meal prepared so well has given me great respect towards him.
I do like his setup for cooking. It's just like this large wraparound stone that's heated at all times. It is really cool. Dangerous, but really
Yes.
cool. Plus, you can tell
Oh yeah,
that
I
cat
did.
has been through some shit.
Yes, it's clear that he's fought his fair share of battles in the past, and this is his form of retirement.
By the way, I don't think you
Mm-hmm.
knew this, but you can find a variety of Palico tribes in each section. When you find them, they can help you out.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that on and off. I've never seen it. I've just heard of it.
I watched Strippin from. I started to watch his first episode of Monster Hunter Worlds, which is, by the way, 11 hours long.
Jesus.
I've survived through like a total of 300 hours for Legend of the Dragoon with Cry. I can survive 11 hours for Monster Hunter Worlds. But he actually actively followed a Palico to their tribal village. You just have to find them in the wild and just follow them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I will say this about the chef, though. It is quite strange to see, what's the word? To actually see a Palico standing up straight like he does.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite strange. I mean, most of the time when you see them, they're always kind of like hunched over slightly, with an arcing back. He's straight, like he's standing straight up and tall. It's like, okay, I won't, I won't stare.
I watched another person play Monster Hunter Worlds because I was getting tired of hearing Krendor and friends talk in the background with Strippin. And the guy got to the character creation for his Palico. And I think I posted this in our Discord. Like, he got to the Palico and he genuinely did not care about this critter. And I'm like, I actually screeched, like, in real life. I scared my real life cat. Like, how can you not care for this cat? It is saving your ass every time. I stopped watching immediately. Just immediately. And I've seen like the intro to the game twice now. And I'm a little confused as to why the Palico ran to the handler instead of the hunter. Which is weird.
Oh.
It's just weird, but I am happy to see that the Palico was okay.
Yes, he is a good friend. I think we've covered everything on Monster Hunter.
We like the game. Rev has played it. I haven't. I'm curious about it. I just don't think I'd ever be able to bring myself to kill a giant monster.
Yeah, when you've again, it's more you really you get options to like look into why you're hunting the critter, and again, it can help soothe your conscience.
All right, what's next?
Or not, either or. All right.
Well, the
I
thing is,
guess we could talk.
the thing is, like, every time I say I really want to play this game, but at the same time I don't, Bill will burn money on me and buy the game for me when I didn't tell him to do that, and it gets on my nerves.
No.
So I have to say I don't want to play this. Really, I do, but I don't.
Oh no. All right. So going right along to the next topic, which is Revenant Warframe.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be completely honest. I have not started the quest specifically because of the whole stupid thing of, hey, you need to be this rank with the quills and blah blah blah. It's like it's just going to be a lot of grinding for like intact sentient cores to turn in and upgrades.
Well, intact sentient cores, and then a lot of Terralist hunting. That's the kicker for me. Hunting the Terralist 20 times for two different advancements. 2 advancements.
Yeah.
40 of these things. Why?
Yeah, and as you can imagine, for me, I have to fight them alone.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, actually, I've just given up on hunting the Eidolons in general, and honestly, until either A, I can find a way to fix my PC to the point where I can uh, fix my PC to the point where I can, uh, oh God, what's the word I'm looking for here? To the point where I can actually use, have other people join so we can actually hunt the damn things, or find some exploit to take down an Eidolon quickly. Because I fought the thing, I fought them, and I found that they're a great source for the Vombalists, so that way I can just combine the Eidolon parts the cores I need, and then just turn it in and just upgrade that way, but still.
And obviously, dojo-wise, it's the easiest way to get a certain pigment.
Yes. But overall, I haven't started so I might do so in the next few days, if all goes well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we are here to speak.
Ice Chroma and the Lenka set to radiation is your best friend.
Anyway, so on to Revenant himself. I'm quite impressed. I'm actually surprised that he came out so quickly, and he's crazy. Like honestly, he's a creepy thing. I'm okay with spoilers, honestly. Since I haven't done the quest yet, I am curious. What is he exactly?
So, I haven't finished the quest either. I still had to get all the parts, but that means going and doing those stupid bounties. I hate doing bounties. Apparently, when the Great Eidolon was destroyed, another Warframe was present with Gara. But they weren't like Gara at all. They were put simple, they were placed there to make sure the Eidolon never regained their form. So he would cut it down every time. And then one day, I guess when the Eidolon sank into the lake, he got dragged in with it.
Interesting.
So now we have these three Eidolons, like small, medium, and gigantic, and he's not there preventing these two larger ones and this little one from emerging and reforming.
I see. So basically, this is after Gara destroys herself, effectively.
Also, I watched somebody. I actually had to watch somebody's like outside perspective on this because I didn't notice this when I did the quest. That flying Eidolon, that concept art, you see a ghost of that thing over the water when you're doing the quest. So it's likely that the Revenant was preventing the flying Eidolon from being a thing.
Interesting. Well, this is the thing. So basically, after Gara destroys herself, there was no to stop the Eidolons or the Eidolon from becoming something else. So another came here to continue her quote unquote legacy. So honestly, here's a question though: do you think that Revenant was actually a Tenno, or is he actually a creation of the Quills?
I think he was a creation of what the hell? Mom and Dad are playing a game upstairs. They're very loud.
Okay.
I think Revenant was created in three different methods combined together. He is an Eidolon. He's a sentient merged with a Warframe.
All right.
And then you have the Tenno, so transference right there. Yeah, so you have these three different things. You have the influence of the Tenno, influence of Eidolons, and Warframe. But I think when the main Eidolon was destroyed, the Unum the lady in the tower, I guess, created him using out of the Eidolon, out of the remains of Gara.
It's possible. Again, so what I think it is that going off of that, it could be Gara is destroyed. The Eidolon is in 1,000 pieces, but is slowly attempting to rebuild itself. The Unum sees this and sends out her quills to gather the pieces of Gara and several sentient components. Again, Gara is long since dead at this point, so maybe they buried some of the components as a sort of like way to remember her. You know, obviously like the head or other fragments, but kept the internal design in one piece, like the skeleton, I guess you could say, in quotes. They then bring it to the Unum, who knows about warframes and how to create them, and creates Revenant. Revenant is then created, but he's just an empty shell, a husk. It's possible that one of the Unum's quills might have been a Tenno, or someone who understands the concept of transference, took on the responsibilities to be the Revenant, and then went to the planes, does his job for several years, or centuries, whatever you want to go with. He then tries to fight the sentient. The sentient then goes under, but captures him in the process. And the trauma must have been too much for the guy to handle.
Mm-hmm.
The Revenant is lost underneath the waves of.
It's actually the giant lake.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, he's lost underneath the waves of the massive lake, and has been there ever since. But unfortunately, all these years under the eroded the warframe to the point where he's just components again. And now, you know, we come in and we reassemble him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is all just been from the top.
Like again, we actually talked about this when Revenant was not even out yet. Revenant itself means a vengeful spirit. So I guess that really, like, what we're learning here is actually true. He is a vengeful spirit in one way or another.
Well, but it could also be said that he is a vengeful, not only vengeful but also a guardian of sorts. Like his purpose is, I must see the sentients remain where they are,
or they will attack the city.
Yes, I'm actually wouldn't be surprised if in the past he was actually just sitting on the Cetus gate, watching or sleeping during the day, and then becoming active at night. Also, interestingly enough, someone brings up an interesting concept. Revenant's design and Limbo's design are very close to each other. Could also be fragments of the Limbo, as unlikely as that sounds.
Well, what do we know about Limbo? He can jump into the in-between dimensions.
Yeah, he's a void walker of sorts.
Actually, that does make sense. That makes sense. Because Nakak is like given this vision from Unum herself. She talks about like the in-between worlds. I think Revenant really is a Limbo, but when the Eidolon was destroyed, he took in a bit of that influence. I guess like the only way I can say is it's like a radiation. He absorbed the energy and the essence, and he turned into something else.
His body was. It's possible sentient radiation, in quotations, was starting to cause his body to start decaying rapidly. And in order to save himself, he must have begun to rebuild his body using Eidolon fragments. Ergo, what we see now.
And with Limbo, he kept experimenting with his abilities and destroyed himself in the process. It wouldn't surprise me if Revenant did the same thing, but only because he needed to stop the Eidolon. So when the sun was coming up, he would go into the in-between dimension and wait. And then the Eidolon would come out, and he would come out of the in-between. So at one point he got too close, or something happened. Causing him to be pulled in with it. Yeah.
And causing the two fragment. Well, this is another thing we have to keep in mind. Warframes are created using infested materials. However, that also said they do have sentient components added in post-infested, once the infested material has been properly refined to the point where it can be more controllable, more malleable.
Yep.
So it's entirely possible that when this merger occurred, the two, all these components just kind of merge into a new form. Ergo, Revenant. Again, it's possible what we're seeing right now, this form of his is post what happened, not the actual look he used to have. Again, if he was a limbo, this would make perfect sense.
Yeah. Because when the Eidolon sinks into the lake, you don't see it. Correct that. You see it disappear into the lake, but throughout the day, you don't see it. There's nothing there. It's just the bottom of the lake.
Yes. Actually, now that I think about it, it could be entirely possible that the Revenant as Limbo might have done something. Like maybe in order to keep the Eidolon from getting up during the day as well, maybe he purposely infected the lakes and the bodies of water with rift energy. And specifically tethers it to maybe when the moon's ever out, something of that nature.
Well, it is explained that when the day comes up, they die or they're severely weakened. And at night, the lakes and the waters on the surface become highly magnetic. That could
kickstarting their bodies.
Yeah. And when a Warframe jumps into water, it really fucks them up. It completely saps out all their energy. And now somebody is vacuuming upstairs. Brilliant. But essentially, when Revenant was pulled under, he must have stepped into the water on accident and got all of his energy drained, and he's gone. But if he is a limbo, then he must have tried to use his ability to escape. When you press shift, you roll. Wow, there's a lot of noise upstairs. He must have tried to do that to escape, and that tampered with all of the water in the area. So now the Eidolon can sink into the water, into its own little, like as you say, pocket dimension, and wait for nighttime.
Yes. Again, it's entirely possible. If it is, we need to keep, I want to learn more. This Unum character is very much intertwined with the Tenno, and I am curious to see what her overall goal is.
I want to meet her.
Agreed. Again, I'm sure we will get the opportunity to meet her. I'm just not now, obviously, because of the whole, they're working on Fortuna right now.
That and the whole bull crap with Ballas. I don't think people want to see another Orcan for a while.
True. Well, here's another thing as well. Well, we have Ballas obviously still at large with the corrupted Lotus. It is something we need to keep in mind as well. The new war is on the horizon. Whether we like it or not, we have to start deciding where our stands are going to be, where we fight, where we fall back, and what worlds we sacrifice to the sentients. Yes. Yeah. Oh, right. I almost forgot. We should also mention this: the current relay rebuilding project. What thoughts on that?
Well, I actually learned something recently. It doesn't matter if you actually fight the Fomorians or not. They're not actually going to do anything. They will automatically fail. They just destroyed the relays that one time, and that was it, to get people to actually do this event, because you do actually get some pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
It's just annoying as hell, especially with the Razorbacks.
No, the Razorback I find is the more annoying.
Yeah, I actually literally just said that. It's very annoying.
Okay.
But with the relays, you're finally able to rebuild the ones that were destroyed. I don't know exactly what they're going with, but apparently if you click on the image for to preview each of them, you can see them on fire, I guess. Weird.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't. I'm actually in the middle of like waiting for a blueprint to finish being built.
Oh. All right. Well, I've been to one of these reconstructing or being rebuilt relays. They're pretty much, the dock is still functional. That's good. They still got the construction tarps everywhere, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the inside of the relay I'm more curious about going into. I want to see what they've been up to, more or less. And again, I love the fact that it's the Grenier who are doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, well, again, what the operator will say in random conversation pieces is the Grenier used to be builders, so it's entirely, so seeing them actually doing what they were created to do, build, is something I actually very much enjoy, and I'm quite happy.
I think another thing is that after the Fomorians destroyed the relays, like I guess like some people held like a bitterness towards Steel Meridian because they are Grenier. And in a way, like the Steel Meridian are doing something to redeem themselves, like, you know, kind of highlight, like, hey, we're not like these people. We're gonna fix this shit because this is not okay. Like, we're Grenier too, but we can do something about this.
Exactly. And honestly, now that I've seen it more frequently, I believe the Steel Meridian is no longer attempting to fight the Grenier Empire. And by that I mean, like, they are not actively trying to battle the, they're not actively trying to destroy the Grenier.
Yeah.
Whereas before they were like, yeah, let's fight the Grenier, let's throw ourselves against them. And the reason why I think they're now trying to fight the Grenier via, reconstruction and supporting the Tenno is because I think they realize they no longer have the numbers to fight the Grenier.
Yeah. I was always curious, like, when I first met Steel Meridian, my first thought is, how many of you are there out of all of these clones that are, like, cloned in the thousands every day?
Honestly, I think the number is somewhere between, like, 50 to, like, 60, something like that.
Well, the thing is,
because they
like,
say that
this is something that bothers me every time I do a mission in, like, the Kuva Fortress. Specifically the Kuva Fortress, for some weird reason. Grenier are all clones of clones of clones of clones. Just, like, they're recloning themselves over and over again. And then you have the Steel Meridian, who are a very rare strain that doesn't want to obey the queens. That doesn't want to follow, the cookie cutter, claim the galaxy and rule it all kind of bullcrap. What happens when one of these guys dies? Because if they're cloned again, then the Grenier now have you captive. They now have control over you again. I'm trying to word it the best I can, but when one of these guys dies, do they reappear amongst the Grenier, like behind enemy lines?
I see what you're saying. No, what I think is going on, once a defective clone is found within the Grenier genetic template code, once the defective is found, going with Clem, for example, when we rescued Clem, they were planning on destroying him, melting him down back to the genetic level, and scouring his DNA specifically to find that defect in his cloning process. You know, that one gene that didn't copy correctly, and then possibly either rectify it or destroy it altogether. It's possible that any Grenier that joins the Steel Meridian, Sargus Rook and the Queens go back and they check the DNA for that clone's DNA. Again, it's possible they have like a serial number or a clone number specifically for every unit. And then they will immediately, say, either destroy that DNA template or correct that mistake in that specific genetic template. At least that's what I think.
I think you mean Tengus, not Ruck. No, sorry. You mean Teal Rigor, not Ruck.
Well, Rigor is dead. We killed him.
Well, even still, you can kill him over and over again.
No, I think DEs are basically confirmed that Rigor is dead. Like they've gone out of their way to say like mission and event specific Grenier that or bosses that you fight are dead in canon. So at this time, the only living Grenier military higher-ups that we have is Sargus Rook, Bayhek,
technically Vor. Technically Vor.
Yeah, Vor, Dr. I think I mentioned Tengus already, and the executioners from the Rathun event, because I do say that they are recloned regularly.
Mm.
It's the what's it called? The Gustrike 3 are a bit iffy, since technically we've already fought and killed them during the Help Clem questline. But again, we could also say that these are just copies of the original that we're fighting right now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm happy to see the relays come back, because I think I stopped playing before the Fomorians were a thing.
Agreed. It's quite what's the word? It's quite nice to see the relays return and seeing the Grenier being the ones responsible for reconstructing these relays, at least the Meridian. It will be nice to rebuild them and see our fortresses, I suppose, back in action.
Mm-hmm.
All right then.
Moving on, anything? I guess. No, I got nothing. Oh wait, no, I do. I do have something. This is more of just like a funny thing. I played with Snow, who got Revenant, by the way. And we did the events for the relays, and the entire time she was doing the laser.
Yeah, the laser.
Yeah, the entire time she's doing the laser twirl, and I watched her go by, and immediately that music box in Ballora from Five Nights at Freddy's sister location played in my head. I told her this, so she recolored Revenant to look like Ballora. But he's a ballerina, so like all you need now is Haro, Revenant, and Titania could all do ballet because they all twirl.
Yes. I agree. It's gonna be a total mess. It's complete and total mad.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Guess we have everything covered here. On to our last topic: is the comic industry exploding?
You say it is.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. The comics now have become way, way, way too like, and I'm not meaning like, oh, yeah, past politics and no, I mean like current. And it has infected the comics to the point where what's the word? It's become so bad to the point where people, it's just not fun to watch comics, to read comics anymore.
Yeah.
Stuff anymore.
I've
Go ahead.
save for like comics based on D&D. I've actually noticed this. The Adventure Time, no, sorry, the Adventure Zone, The Adventure Zone now has a comic book, and everybody loves it. Everybody is reading it. And Critical Role has a comic book, and everybody is reading it because there is nothing in these stories that is political, nothing in these stories that relates to the modern world. If it's a comic book about fantasy, then people
keep it fantasy.
Yeah, if it's a comic book about fantasy, keep it fantasy, and also everybody wants to read something about fantasy.
Yes.
Like, people nowadays are more interested when it comes to superheroes. They want to watch the movies, they want to watch the cartoons and the TV shows. They don't want to read about it anymore. They want to watch it.
Yeah, and we don't care about what fucking political spectrum these people are on. We just don't care.
Lately, most people just lean more towards manga because it's crazy and stupid.
And fun to read. Fun to fucking read. But my big thing here is that the perfect example of all this is that currently there are two major comic pros I know of out there. And that is Ethan Van Sciver, a comic artist for 20 years now, or 25 years, I think, who's doing this, and another one called Diversity and Comics. Both of them have recently released, or I say released now, I think, have released two comics that go back to what comic books used to be, and one of them is called Jawbreakers, and it basically Jawbreakers is a bunch of ex superheroes turned mercenaries because they're done with the superhero crap. They're like, okay, we did this for a few years now. Come on, let's actually get paid for our shit. And the other one is just called, and what Ethan Van Sciver created is just called Cyber Frog Blood Honey. And it is literally what it sounds. It's just a bunch of cybernetic frogs.
Another thing is, like, most people also just want to read online comics, like those cute short ones that like teach you a lesson, but they're also very cute and very funny.
Yeah, but the thing I want to bring up about these comics they've created are kind of, they're fun and they're interesting and they're actually hilarious to look at. Again, Jawbreakers, the first issue is them basically fighting a giant gorilla. That's the joke. They're just a bunch of guys trying to do what's right, and their first job as mercenaries is, oh look, a giant gorilla. What else is new? And of course, the cyberfrog thing. It just feels like going back to like the '90s when cartoons used to have anthropomorphic heroes on cover.
Street Sharks.
Yes,
that was my favorite one, other than Gargoyles.
That's exactly what it feels like. And the reason why they did this is because Marvel Comics, and I don't mean Marvel Comics as a studio, no, I mean the comics they make, are just terrible. And I've actually tried to sit down and read some of the new stuff, like actually sitting down and trying to read their version of their new version of Iron Man, which is Ironheart, which is about some genius black girl who is just as smart as Tony Stark, yada yada yada. And I sit there, I try to read this comic, and I look at her, and my only thought is, how is this a hero? And I mean this simply because She does shit not because she wants to be a not because it's the right thing to do, or because it's the what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not the right thing to do or anything of that nature. And I look at this girl. My only thought is, are they secretly setting her up to be the villain of the next Iron Man comic? No, that they actually think she's a hero. Okay. By the way, she toppled the government, and no, sorry, it was the other one. Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel, sorry, is the one who toppled the government because apparently she thought there was something evil. But it's just a mess. It's not heroic anymore. It's not about good guys versus bad or even morally gray crap. It's just a bunch of narcissists doing shit because they think they're doing the right thing and just making shit worse in general.
I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I can hear myself again. A lot of people are also more interested in things that aren't, I guess you say, main storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Like
spin-off.
Sort of, yeah. When I was younger, I read a comic. What was it? I keep wanting to say it's the Runaways, but that's not it. But it was essentially like the teen sidekicks of all these different heroes just grouped together and went, yeah, fuck it, we're doing our own thing over here. And they weren't even the Teen Titans. It's just they were just doing random crap. But most people are more interested in really weird side-offs. Like one that I've heard a lot of, I haven't seen anything, is the Spider-Man comic where it's a pig. Spider-Ham.
Spider-Hawk.
His name is Peter Porker. Like, seriously? And another comic that I actually really want to read, just because it's something I've learned recently, is Squirrel Girl. It's just like the weirdest superhero ever, but I want to read it.
I've seen the Squirrel Girl comic. I can't stand them.
Well, here's the thing. Somebody actually took a step back and analyzed it. Squirrel Girl is the only superhero that can defeat Thanos. She is. She's the only one that can do it.
Is it? If it's because she has fucking ADHD, I'm going to walk.
Because she has what?
Fucking ADHD or something like that.
No. Every superhero has stats. They have canon stats attached to them. Squirrel Girl is max stats all across the board. She can defeat Thanos. Like, and when you compare her to Thanos, she outdoes him on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't really read any of the discussion, but I just know that from what I could glimpse, she has the power, she has the strength, she has the speed and the intelligence to defeat him. I mean, we saw, like, I haven't seen Infinity War, so I can't really say we all saw what happened there with the original Avengers.
Most of them got poofed.
A lot of people have been quoting like what Spider-Man says, and that's just been breaking my heart because that was just sad.
Oh, that was
just terrible.
fucking.
He's
brutal.
A kid.
I mean, I get it. Wars have casualties. Kids don't always survive. I get it. Oh god, that was too much.
What I find funnier is that like now everybody is just like picking apart what Thanos has done. Like somebody actually made a very reasonable point. Why didn't he just use the gauntlet to fix his own goddamn planet? He has the power to do this now. Why destroy everything else?
Because he's come to the realization that, okay, I fix my world, then what? There's still a bunch of other shit out there that still that's still bad, if not worse than my own world. So what do I do? It basically just boils down to, even if I fix my own issues, that doesn't fix the galaxy as a whole. So what do I do? So do I just sit here and do nothing, or do I actually go about it?
Another one is that people have highlighted the fact that Thanos is in love with Death herself, and yet Death is dating Deadpool, and it's the funniest thing ever.
Well, the joke is, the joke is that Thanos, since he can't, that's one of the running gags. Thanos can't die, ergo he can't be with her. Where Deadpool technically can die, so he can be with her.
Another funny thing is something that's not even related to Marvel. Somebody said there is one person in this universe that can defeat Thanos. Bugs fucking Bunny. And like everybody jumped on the bandwagon. Airport security Bugs Bunny can stop Thanos. It's the funniest little comic I have ever seen, and I wish it was real.
To be honest, I have to say that fight in the whole comic book war, like between fans and everything, I'm going to say this right now. Marvel, when it comes to comics, is dying.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around it. It is a dying horse. DC, on the other hand, I don't know what they've been doing, but oh wait, I know, they're listening fucking politics into it. Shock horror. That's why they're doing so fucking well. You know, you remember when you brought this whole like what's the word? You mentioned like how people like the more spin-offy things, around.
Mm-hmm.
DC's kind of embraced this. Let's just make some side stories and see what sticks to the wall. And I think one of the more interesting ones I've recently read was the whole, what if the Joker returned to sanity and Batman couldn't handle it? That comic was really well done. I mean, story-wise, I should say.
Another comic that a lot of people latched onto was where it's reverse, where Bruce died and the parents turned into Batman and Joker. A lot of people like that one too.
Yeah. The Flashpoint timeline. Yeah, that one is interesting. But no, what I was going to get at is that this comic takes place, basically very little's changed. It is just like the typical Batman versus Joker kind of universe. That's what's going on. However, that said, it basically got into the point where Batman is starting to lose focus. And he's become so tunnel vision in stopping the Joker that he's causing more damage than good out there. And to the point where Joker just kind of chuckles or is laughing, and he knows how to break him. He's basically saying, I know you can never let this game end, yada, yada, yada. I bet you if I took these pills, everything would be, and I got better, you would lose your fucking mind. Batman, in a moment of pure anger, just kind of feeds him the entire bottle of pills. And within like 2 days, he's back to normal. Like the skin's gone back to the normal pigmentation, his hair's brown, and he's now running for fucking governor. I'm not joking about that one either. He actually tried.
An OD? Like, really?
Well, it's the joke of the situation. Infuriated that he was forcing him to take the entire bottle of pills before someone got a chance to pull him off, and for somehow he becomes sane again. And the implication is that obviously the pills on their own, all the chemicals in Joker's bodies, plus that huge dosage of pill has finally kind of counteracted everything. That was the joke, I should say, or why this happened. And honestly, the comic is pretty freaking good. Batman can't see the fact that Joker's trying to be a better person than he usually is, and it's leading him to do things differently. Being Batman, doing things on his own, alienating his friends, and his partners and everything, to the point where all Joker has to do is just basically sit around and wait for him to come barging into the room and then just call the police. And it works. It's crazy, but they've actually done a very interesting, sane Joker, almost crazy Batman. Obviously, they bring it back to normal at the very end of the comic. Joker is slowly becoming Joker again. Batman sees it, nobody else can, yada, yada, yada. Dr. Freeze has a giant freeze weapon pointed at the city, which turns out it's not his, it's actually his grandfather's, who also built freeze tech. It's complicated. This is like a weird timeline in which Freeze's grandfather was secretly a Nazi, and the Waynes were supporting him when he came to the Americas because they wanted his technology. It's really weird, but clever.
Mm-hmm.
But also it works. It's this weird craziness that I feel so many comics have abandoned, and we need more of this just old 60s or 70s just stupidity. But just play it up as it's stupid. Don't make it like super serious. Make it fun.
Like I know it's a TV show. It's not actually like really much of a comic, but like the old Batman TV show, like the live action one that was like so bad that it was good, where everything was labeled very clearly, and it was just so dumb, like the anti-shark spray or something like that.
Yeah. No, it was the shark repellent.
Yes, it's like all that is so good.
Yeah, and honestly, that show succeeded. Just never seriously for the time, obviously. But it was such a good series because it actually tried things interesting. It's like, imagine if Batman was actually a real human being in the world. Sure enough, there you go.
This is also why I haven't been able to read them yet, but I'm really interested. This is kind of why I prefer like Godzilla comics or even My Little Pony comics, because those are also really good. But like I've never been a fan of superheroes. I've never been into them.
All right.
And I know that like superheroes started off as comics. Like this is where they came from, is dying. I really don't know what to say.
By the way, we might as well put something on the screen to tuned out. Why not, since we're on the topic? I know this isn't from the show, but come on. I'm sure you read it somewhere.
This is essentially the humor. This is essentially what it was all about.
Bad
like this is essentially the show in a nutshell. Simpsons or not.
Exactly. And again, this is what made the show, both the live action version and the anime they would release, so fun. Not only that, but even the actors they got for the live action version felt like they were real people, like, straight out of the comic, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whoever they got to play Penguin, Joker, etc., they were freaking, like, it was weird to look at them. It was like a very surreal thing. And at the same time, you kind of wonder, it's like, how much time did they really waste making the costumes, Like, it had to be like $20 at max.
Yeah.
So that's what I miss about it. The cheesy, cheap costumes.
Like, and then you like look later down the road, the costumes are so detailed to the point where they actually have a shot of the guy's ass. And the suits actually had nipples. That was the weirdest part. Like these super detailed suits, it looked like they would not be comfortable to move around in at all. Like you can't be a superhero wearing that.
No, it is pretty freaking out. Again, they had a problem with the costumes. Apparently, they were so body constricting. They couldn't get over a ledge to start filming.
Yeah.
Not without either hurting themselves or horribly tearing the suit open.
I remember this thing where the guy who played as Batman, I don't remember which one. There's been actually quite a few, but the director asked him if he wanted to keep the Batman. Oh, it was like the current day Batman, the edgy guy. They asked him if he wanted to keep the Batman suit once the series was over. He said, "Fuck no, that is way too expensive." Then with Deadpool, which I think is like going to be the only surviving comic book series because that is just so stupid and crazy. But with Deadpool, when they finished filming the first movie, they saw Ryan Reynolds was like walking around in the suit, like about to leave. They asked him like, "What are you doing with the suit?" He goes, "Fuck you, fight me. I am taking this home." And he left with it.
Secretly, I'm just thinking they're just kind of
Like,
saying,
this was another thing. Like, Ryan Reynolds has actually read the Deadpool comics, and he loved them. Like, just mostly because Deadpool actually made a reference to him in one of the books. And since then, he wanted to play as Deadpool. And ta-da!
I'm gonna be honest, Ryan he's best when he plays a silly character.
Yes.
This isn't me bashing on the guy. I'm sure he can play serious roles as well. But what's the word? It's just he just works better as a silly character. He really does.
Well, here's the thing. He plays himself off as both serious and funny. Like when he plays a serious role, he will actually bash on himself for that role. Like when he played Green Lantern, that was actually quite a serious role. And now, like with Deadpool, he takes every opportunity he can to just take a shit on that role that he did.
Yes, like I believe the first movie he did. If you're gonna put me in a car, yeah.
Yeah, like the first scene that we see him in Deadpool, because you were cutting out. I understand what you meant though. Like the first iteration, the first bit in Deadpool, he asks the guys like, "Don't put me in a green suit that is CGI, for the love of God."
Yeah.
Like this is another thing about the Deadpool comics and movie. They break the fourth wall hardcore, and people love it.
Yes, and honestly, I'm gonna be completely frank. I mean, I'm not too much of a fan of Deadpool. I'm gonna be completely honest. I kind of find him a bit annoying when he's doing things way too seriously. You know, when he's actually taking his job seriously. My only thought is, shut up, for fuck's sake. Just okay, now you can shut up. But if he's just being silly and he knows what he's doing is just stupid, that's when I love him. Just whenever he's acting like a dumbass.
I like him like regardless of what he's doing. The Deadpool video game kind of got on my nerves because he didn't act like Deadpool usually does. Like he acted so much like a pervert in like granted Deadpool normally acts like a pervert, but this one was just like very uncomfortable. I didn't like it.
What in the sorry, I kind of blanked out. In which one?
In the Deadpool video game. He does normally in the comics he is a pervert. Just flat out saying it. He flirts with Spider-Man all the goddamn time. He makes sex jokes all the time. But in the video game, he is a pervert, but it's a totally different way. It's just super uncomfortable. It feels like it's forced. And I don't like it. I still don't like superheroes, so in turn, I also don't really care for Deadpool. Like the only hero, quote unquote hero that I like is Ghost Rider.
He's actually pretty again badass all the same. But to be honest, to Deadpool his due, at least in terms of like again using the movies as an example,
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think this is the best iteration of Deadpool, in my opinion. The movies capture his essence almost perfectly. And again, perfectly. And of course, giving a shout out to Ryan Reynolds performing the role exceptionally well. Like, honestly, go ahead.
A post that keeps coming up over and over and over again because apparently there's nothing else in the movie people are grasping except for like the lesbian couple, which yay. But the one post everybody just like keeps putting up over and over again is when he's in the laundromat and the blind lady tells him what to do. Like, and she's not even like, she's on the other side of the room and she knows what he's doing. And he just looks at the camera and then her, like, so confused.
Honestly, if like I said, but honestly, like I said, Deadpool's a lot of things. He's immature and stupid, but god damn it, does he do his job well?
Oh yeah.
At least well in quotations, I should say.
Another post people are doing is it's Deadpool and Spider-Man looking at a guy who's like really messed up. I guess he must be Slade or something. But he's taking off his mask. He's like asking like, "You really haven't figured it out?" And like the other two look so done with this guy that they're listing off these grotesque things. What was it? Deadpool says like one of the Bachelor guys that didn't make it to the end of the season, and and Spider-Man's going like Deadpool's ass on like during the heat wave, just all these stupid things. People are like the comic books in general, they are good, but mostly for people to pick apart and just laugh at. They're not going to sit down and read the entire thing.
Yeah, Deadpool is just a comic series. Yet, if you want to just have a laugh at just very, very crude, like this is the one moment where you can just stop being an adult and just kind of go like, "Hey, he's poop."
Yeah, I'm not into superheroes. If the comic book world does explode, I'm hoping that it is just the superhero part of it that goes.
Yeah, again, like I said, Marvel is imploding on itself with crap. And honestly, independent guys, again, like Ethan Van Sciver, Diversity Comics, these two are doing their own thing. And they've made such good comics that I wouldn't be surprised if this is the start of a new comic like tycoon, I guess you will say.
Is there anything else we should say, or are we done?
No, hold on. How long have we been going?
We are now at like the 3-hour, 13-minute mark.
All right, good. Then I guess we finished on time for once.
Yep.
It's a great comedy. All right. Well, I guess we're done here for the evening. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for once again for Random Talk.
Yep.
I'm Rev.
I'm HH.
And we will see you all next time.
Yep.
Bye.
So now it's just me and the audience here. I say this at the end of every single stream. And I should probably be saying this more near the front, like when Rev is getting ready. There's a link in the description for YouTube and a creeper face down below for Twitch. Don't click them. Like you can click on the links for the Pokemon of the month and the Gundam of the month all you like. But if it says, click here to support and donate and blah 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 blah, don't click it. Because it's not going to do anything. It doesn't actually help us right now. What I am going to say is that instead, whenever we go live, share the links of the stream to social media, to your friends, stuff like that. Just like get the word out there, essentially. That's the best way I can describe that. It really does help us out. I would say suggest topics for the next show, but Rev is already the one in charge of that, so you don't do that. Just, yeah, don't click the links, don't click the creeper face, bleh. Share the links. We stream on YouTube and Twitch for this podcast every Thursday. It was only moved to Friday this week because there was something going on Thursday. But every Thursday we stream this, and every other day we try to stream a game. Well, I try to stream a game or an art stream. Sharing the links gets the word out there. It gets more people watching. It helps us out. So yeah, I'm gonna play the outro music. Hope you guys all had a good day. Good night. Rev's sharing funny things in chat. And we will see you all next Thursday or possibly on Sunday because I am going to be streaming. Hopefully. Well, no, I'll probably be streaming on Saturday. Late night Saturday. So, yeah. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for watching.